Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about muscles of the elbow. Let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. All right, so this is kind of where we ended up. Let me back up. In this video, in this particular scene, we're going to be looking at the location, probably kind of where we ended up in the previous video, talking about primary movers, the synergist, the antagonist, fixators, that kind of stuff. But what we want to do is as we're talking about these various sections, elbow, upper torso, arm, legs, hip, wherever we want to have it. We want to think about it in these terms as far as who's doing the work, who's helping, okay, who's the resistance, which is also helping us. Okay, it isn't resistance like it's keeping it from not getting the job done. It's actually helping to make it a smooth motion, smooth movement on the back side. So we're also going to be looking at intrinsic, extrinsic muscles, which kind of lead into the who's the primary, who's helping kind of mindset. But just looking at all the different areas or angles of the way to appreciate or understand muscles that are getting the job done. Okay, so one thing that'll help us with this is understanding intrinsic and extrinsic muscles, and the prefixes are a big help here. Intrinsic are also going to be muscles that are within a certain area, like for example your hand. Your hand, when you open and close your hand, let me get in the camera here, when you open and close your hand, obviously these muscles are doing the primary work. Those are intrinsic muscles. But there's extrinsic muscles or muscles that are being synergist as well, because if you take your hand, and I keep getting out of the camera, and just try to move your fingers individually, but look at your forearm, you can see the muscles that are moving there to get that. So the muscles that you can see moving, those would be extrinsic, okay, but they're also synergist. So if I want to, I'm going to reach over here and pick up my other glasses. When I pick these up, I can physically see. Now, I know my muscles in the hand are working. Oh, here we go. But I can also see the muscles in the forearm that are working. And if I, turn my arm around, again, you can see the muscles in the forearm, the extrinsic, but also the synergist muscles working as well. So that's going to be one of the ways that we think about our work here in this section. Alright, so something else that we're going to pull from the past is back when we did the brain, we talked about the cranial nerves, the 1 through 12, and their various associations with the different parts of our bodies supplying the not energy, that'd be the ATP, but the electricity to get that message sent that it needs to happen. So for example, cranial nerve 1 supplied the resource or information for this particular muscle, and of course that's called intervention of a muscle, and that refers to the nerve that stimulates it. So you see the word intervention. It's talking about nerves that stimulate that particular one, and that's a list that you've already worked with or dealt with. That would have been back when we came back from Christmas break. That would be that part of it. So mid-January to late January is when you really got serious about studying those. And if you can't remember them directly, there's nothing wrong with that. Be sure that list will be out on the table, because that's one of the things we'll be talking about, associating with it as we talk about various muscles and the different sections. But that list will be out, but you can also make sure you can find yours and can use that as well. But part of the whole process of understanding how muscles operate kind of begins with knowing what cranial nerve is intervening it or supplying the stimulus for it. And of course, we remember how that worked with the posterior and anterior, the ramies, the dorsals, the ventrals, and the ganglion, and of course the plexus. We spent some time learning about the plexus as well. So all those things are going to come into play in this chapter as we learn about muscles. Now, this screen doesn't have any information about muscles, but it does have some reminders of some good things that we have talked about in the past and that we'll bring up again. Looking at the next screen, I got to make a quick little adjustment there that I missed during my looking it over. But the idea of really understanding what's going on and where things are and what they do is going to be done not only in the dissections that we do, okay, but you can also look at Google search images of these muscles. You can watch if you have an interest in. There's hundreds and thousands of YouTube videos of cadaver work, cadaver dissections, things like that. But one of the best things that you can do is just practice, with your own muscles. Like what I did with my, earlier, what I did with my forearm or in hand when I was moving fingers and just watching, okay, the muscles. You can see the palm muscles moving, and then you can see the muscles of the forearm moving as well, to understand how that works and what's going on. And you can't look at the names enough. Okay, you can't say them enough. You can't write them enough or too many times. And just recognizing, as we talked about in the bones, that a lot of times the names are associated with that muscle-bone combination. And so you'll kind of see those same suffixes and prefixes working out. But just practicing it, practicing it. And this is the full diagram. This is the picture that you already have, and you have both the blank versions and the filled-in versions. But this is the diagram that I alluded to at the very beginning of the first video, that you would have the front and the back side, and a huge word list to pull from, just a reminder and to help with the spelling. But it's the idea of knowing what the names of each of the muscles are and filling those in as needed. So with that brings us to the end of Muscles of the Elbow. When we come back together next time, we're going to be talking about muscles that help with facial expression. We'll see you then.